Hello, everyone. I'm Adam, CDO at SmiteWorks, and thank you for joining me for this first development update and community Q&A session for Fantasy Grounds. I have been here for, I believe it's just right at the 2-month mark now, and everything has been a wonderful whirlwind in the best kind of way. We've been working on so many things, and I am terribly excited to show you what we've been working on a little bit here today, as well as give some sneak peeks into some things that we're continuing to work on for the future. And if you've ever been to a dev update that I've done before, you can ask questions. The way that we're doing that here is you can ask those questions with 100 channel points. It's not hard at all to get 100 channel points. You just got to watch for a little while. This is a nice little anti-bot measure that we can put in place. But with those channel points, you can ask a question. If you have any difficulty with that, there are going to be people that can help you in chat. Our moderators are going to be happy to show you how to do that. But you can ask questions all along the way. And at the end of the stream, I will get to as many as I have time for. Again, thank you for joining me. Let's talk format a little bit for the show. So this dev update is something that is not going to be weekly. It's not necessarily going to have a regular occurrence, but we expect it to happen probably, roughly monthly. I don't think we will ever go more than 2 months without having one. So somewhere in that 6 weeks is probably a pretty sweet spot, but we're going to have these anytime that we have bigger releases that are going out. And today is one of those days. So again, excited to talk about the release that just went out a little bit earlier today. But in these dev updates for this show, we're going to talk about whatever the latest updates are. So again, new build has gone out today for Fantasy Grounds. We will talk about upcoming things. So that will be one of the segments where we talk about, some of the stuff that is either on deck that we're going to be working on next, or possibly even some things that are, further out than that we've got our eyes on. And part of that is us trying to get a temperature check on what the community is looking for, right? So that will happen in the upcoming section of this, and then ask questions. And today we are doing a giveaway for a Fantasy Grounds Ultimate license. This is what you need to run all the games that you want to on Fantasy Grounds. So good luck in that. We're going to give that away a little bit later in the show, but you can sign up for that giveaway now by !ultimate, and that's going to enter you to win. So good luck, everyone out there. I hope you all win, but only one of you will. So let's jump into latest updates. One of the things that I talked about in the very first stream that I did with Bryce, who was producing for us today on Fantasy Grounds Fridays, is I talked about a couple of things that as I was joining the SmiteWorks team that I would be focused on. And one of those, the first thing that I've really turned my eye of Sauron to, has been visual identity and refreshing some of the visual identity for Fantasy Grounds. And so part of that has been things that you have already seen. So we have some new branding. One of the things that I will do in this dev update is talk about some of maybe the reasoning behind that. So with the logo, we've seen some great reactions and impressions from the new logo. One of the inspirations for that was, if you go way back in time, so Fantasy Grounds has been around so long, and it has such a rich history for everything that's going on with Fantasy Grounds. And it was among the first to use a die in the logo. But if you've paid attention over the last, couple of decades, honestly, everyone uses a die for their logo now. Like literally everyone does it. And so as we were looking at the logo, we did not want to give up the die, since Fantasy Grounds was right there at the beginning with the die. But love the concept of focusing on what is important with Fantasy Grounds, which is play play. It's the play experience. That's what all of this is about. And so if you just take that die and twist it slightly, there's this beautiful play button right in the middle of that D20. And so that's a lot of the inspiration behind the logo. And that is a major core focus. So it's not just creating something that hopefully looks good. It's also kind of core to what we're trying to do here as far as focusing on the play experience and enhancing that the most that we possibly can. So we've had some of that branding. You have hopefully seen the website has been refreshed and updated. We also very recently got to do this for the Fantasy Grounds Forge. So if you're unfamiliar with what that is, the Forge is a place where community developed extensions and rule sets and all sorts of things can be subscribed to. And it's a very seamless experience that once someone puts something up there, you can get that extension by either unlocking that through gold coins, or many of the things are free, and that will just be something that every time you update Fantasy Grounds, it's going to update those extensions that come from the Forge. So check it out if you've never done that. But we've done a visual refresh there as well. After those got completed, we started looking at the app itself. And so today's release is going to see the first part of some of the new fresh coat of paint that is going on in what we call our core RPG offerings for Fantasy Grounds. So this is kind of the baseline experience. So I'm going to head over to the app now, and hopefully we're going to see if this is, actually working. Bryce, are we good? We got everything going? Yes. Okay. I think we've got everything going here. So here in the app, one of the first things that you'll see, if you've ever loaded up Fantasy Grounds before, we have put a new coat of paint on the launcher here. So that's one of the things that you'll be greeted with. I did want to show everyone that I'm going to check for updates. We have also put a new coat of paint on the launcher. So this may be a little hard to see on the screen, but if you're checking out Fantasy Grounds, you're going to see this as well. So we've got some updates going into the launcher and the updater, and I own a whole lot of stuff on Fantasy Grounds, so we're going to let that spin through there. And here we go back to the launcher. One of the other things that you'll notice is that we do, if we're not using any extensions or any themes, it is going to load up the new core theme, and this is by default kind of a hybrid light mode because most things, if you notice around the technology space out there these days, is not all light mode because hardly anybody wants that. But it is, the frames and the various windows that you can open up in sections are going to be default light mode. Tons of requests, of course, for a core dark mode as well. And so that's what we're going to load up here. And you can check this out again on live now. You can go and download Fantasy Grounds, boot everything up, and this is what you're going to be loading into. But once we get into Fantasy Grounds, this is the new core dark theme, and some of the inspirations behind what's going on with this is in the years that I've been doing this, I've had the privilege to see mountains of data, just mountains of data. It's been wonderful because I kind of love data, and I certainly love drawing conclusions from data. And one of the things that is very readily apparent in this space, in the hobby that we love so much, is that people playing these games really, really love some of the, we'll call them classic MMOs, or possibly even, isometric RPGs. What's interesting about that is, again, you gotta really figure out the conclusions you can draw from this data. We don't want tabletop role-playing games to become video games. Like that part is clear, and that's not what we're focused on at all here with Fantasy Grounds. But one of the things that we do like is the aesthetics and the look and feel of many of these. So inspirations here are going to be things like World of Warcraft Pillars of Eternity. I saw someone on our Discord server the other day mention Neverwinter Nights. There absolutely are those inspirations going into just the core RPG experience. So this is what you're going to get when you load this up. We have made these available as standalone themes as well, and you'll see those booted up with Fantasy Grounds. You can choose those if you would prefer to use these with some of the other rule sets as well. They should work pretty seamlessly there. So this is a starting point, and there are going to absolutely be more updates. So we have, you might have heard of these 2024 D&D core rulebooks that are coming out. It has been really fun to work on this new iteration. I won't call it a version, iteration of Dungeons and Dragons, and that's coming in September. So there will be a new visual theme that is accompanying that for Dungeons and Dragons. I believe that I'm going to be shifting my focus next into Pathfinder Second Edition and incorporating a lot of visual updates and changes there. And we're going to continue to hit other rule sets as we go, as we revamp the visual identity of Fantasy Grounds inside the app. And so one of the things that we wanted to do as part of these updates is we have seen feedback, and I think it's very transparently. I think that there is some confusion out there. There's maybe some confusion in messaging that has been put out before, but there's an impression that it is hard to get started with Fantasy Grounds, and I get it. Like, I absolutely understand where those impressions might come from, but as even in these last couple of months, as I have been refamiliarizing, because I used Fantasy Grounds before, long time ago. As I've been refamiliarizing, I think a lot of it is a lack of understanding and us not getting information to you at the points that you would want to. So one of the other things that are coming as part of this build, and this is just a first step in what is likely to be plenty of additional tutorial guidance that we're going to provide, but we do have a new 5e tutorial. The tutorial itself has been around for a while, but we have recently updated that. So we've got that updated and ready to go. And you're going to see that as part of this build as well. And so you'll notice that as we go through this, it's going to talk to you about all the ways that you can get started with Fantasy Grounds. And so this hopefully will be a great starting point for people who are new to Fantasy Grounds coming in and trying to just kick the tires and get a feel for what's going on with Fantasy Grounds. So the 5e tutorial is something you can access this through books and then going to campaign. If you're running 5e, it should be auto loading for you now. All right, let's shift gears to another big update that has come with this build that is really exciting. We've got some dice updates, and some of the dice updates are really, really exciting. If you have never rolled dice in Fantasy Grounds, it genuinely could become your favorite activity. There is something ridiculously satisfying about rolling these digital math rocks bouncing across your screen. So dice are really, really something. I'm going to actually increase the size of the dice here, where I know this is going to be on a slightly smaller screen. So hopefully you can see them a little bit better. But I'm going to run through this. So first of all, before you would load up with your default set of dice, we've added a couple of additional free sets here, and one of those is the throwback set. So if anyone remembers old red box days and all of the glory of some of those older days, this throwback set, if you look closely enough, and you probably can't see it on your screen right now, but if you get in the app and start using it, you'll see that there's essentially a recreation of crayons drawing in the numbers on these dice. So the throwback set is there. When we got our new logo in place, we were asked several times to do something with the new logo on the D20, and of course, I can sit here and roll this probably 1,000 times and never get the play button to actually. Oh, it almost got there, but we have a couple of new free sets there. Also on the elemental side, there are some new dice that have come in that you can use with elementals, especially in our custom NPC Dice feature that I'm going to show off in just a second. So we've got primordial fire, earth, here's air, and then we also have water. So some of those new free sets are available as part of this build. And we have a couple of new sets that you can unlock in our store. And that is the Monsters NPC Dice Volume 1. And Volume 1 means that there are more coming. And Dragons Volume 1. So again, more coming on the Dragons front here. So we're going to look at a few of these after we talk about the new features. So NPC Dice is something that has been added with this build. We've seen this kind of concept be asked about before, but let me actually start with damage dice. So if you weren't aware in Fantasy Grounds, you actually can map dice to the different damage types that can be done in the game. And so when that damage is rolled, you can see that specific die happen for that creature or character that is rolling that. And so with this, all these damage types are taken into account. We even have materials like adamantine, which is my favorite material. Something about the name of it, like it's a good strong name. Adamantine. I like it quite a bit. It also was, adamant was my childhood nickname because my mother thought I was pretty relentless in my pursuit of wanting the G.I. Joes before I left Walmart. So that was a childhood nickname for me there. But all of these options are available. Healing dice, like you can set up and map all of this. And one of the great things is if you happen to have a die that you would like to swap out here on damage dice, you can do that. And so, whoops, I drug that into the wrong thing there. You can drag that into healing. And now if I cast a healing spell and actually roll the healing for that, this Radiant dice set is the one that's going to be used. So that's for damage. That has been in place, but something that you might not have been aware of. With NPC Dice, we have this set up to where this is already mapped by creature type. So this is automatically going to happen for a handful of rule sets at the moment. Absolutely can add more over time. We'll keep an eye on what people are asking for there. But aberrations, beasts, celestials, all these various types are going to have these dice mapped. As you can imagine, we don't map anything specific for humanoids at this point in time, because humanoids are often player characters and can be a wide variety of things. But otherwise, we're mapping these different dice sets to the different types, and you can map your own here. You can override these things if for whatever reason you want your beast to be a little bit more like red dragons, then you absolutely can come in here and override that with the dice. We also have game system rules that we have set up and automated for, again, a handful of these systems like D&D, Pathfinder, and so on, where these are automatically, you can hover over here to see the various name matching that's going on for the different types of creatures. But if an Afridi is rolling, it is going to use this primordial fire dice. So all of that is available here as well. And then finally, you can set up custom rules. And so if you want to, roll something for, we're just going to say an acolyte here. So if I ordinarily would roll for my acolyte, let me go back to another type of die just to make sure that we're clear in showing this off. So if I do a strength check with my acolyte, it's going to roll the default dice set that I'm currently using in Fantasy Grounds. But if I wanted to instead do something with the NPC specifics. So let's say I'm going to unlock this and I'm going to customize this a little bit. I'm going to say that this is a gold dragon cult acolyte. And so with this NPC now in place, I can assign a die to this. Now I can do this a couple of different ways. In this case, I'm going to take my gold dragon die here. I'm going to drag it into the header. And then you will see that that die is now connected to this. And so if I roll with this character, it is going to give me a gold dragon styled die because that's what I've assigned for this NPC. Another way that this can be done is through the, I just lost it because I named it gold, and that's not at all alphabetical, is it? So my gold dragon cult acolyte, I can instead drag that in here. And if I do that, I can assign the die to the dice set to it in this way. So these custom rules are available to you also. So again, really, really fun feature. There is something about the sense of dread that can happen for your players, especially just think about if you've got hidden creatures that they don't know about and all of a sudden they attack for the first time and it looks like undead dice coming at them. They realize that they've been ambushed by some zombies or wights or whatever else. So this is how that feature works. We will have more information on our wiki if you want to deep dive into that, but I recommend just trying it out. It's pretty intuitive to be able to assign these things. And even if you don't set anything up, the automated things that we have in place are going to really enhance those sessions. So let's look real quick at some of these new dice sets. So in the monster variety, we have our Grave Dust. So the Grave Dust set is undead themed. We have that one on here. We have an aberration-like or possibly monstrosity themed unnatural set. And so the unnatural set, kind of has some psionic energy to it. And these do have animated effects versions and versions that don't have that. One of my personal favorites, the Radiant set here. This is something that's currently moved to Celestials, but this could be good for a cleric that wants to possibly use this if your domain matches up with this. We have a couple of different Fae sets, and so this is the Seelie set here that we have, and then there is an Unseelie version of that as well. Those are mapped appropriately too. This constructed set, if you have golems or this is great if you're playing a gnome artificer or anything else. So again, these are just dice sets, so you can use them with NPCs or you can use them with your player characters. All of that is available. Here's our Sludge set. So the Sludge set, slimy goodness. All fathers, so this is kind of intended for giants, but if you have any kind of ancestral guardian based characters, Norse influenced, that should work there. This is the Flora set, and so you'll notice it has some kind of trailing leaves here, so plant creatures or druids that want to kind of lean that way. You've got that. Here's the Beast set, and so Beast set is going to do our some scraping on it too. There's some clawing, and then finally the Fiend set is going to be something that can be great for characters or several of those fiendish creatures with the NPCs. And then I won't go through all, or if I do, I'll go through them very quickly. But we do have the Dragon set as well. And so the Dragon set are colored, and the effects are available for red dragons. We have our blue dragons here as well, green dragons in here. I really like the black. The black dragon has I love this effect of the acid coming out there. We have white dragons. That's all our chromatics. We have our gold, which I think that we showed you a little bit earlier on here. Silver. I'm a big fan of that one as well. Bronze, I really like bronze because some of the color options are really, really great. The way that the oranges and greens kind of work together there. We have our copper. So again, it's doing the different breath weapons, and then my personal favorite, because they're my favorite type of dragon, is brass, and so we have our brass dragons here as well. So those are the new dice sets. And again, you can use these with your characters. You can use these, and they're already mapped as part of the NPC Dice feature that is out as part of the release today. I also want to talk about, we're nearing the end of our latest updates part of the show, but I want to talk about a couple of really big content releases that have happened here recently. And the first of those is the Cosmere role-playing game. And so you might have seen this one advertised for a little while as the Stormlight RPG or Stormlight Archive RPG, and the big bait and switch that Brotherwise Games did here with the Kickstarter, the record-breaking Kickstarter that is in progress now, is they revealed that no, it's not the Stormlight RPG, it is the Cosmere RPG, and Stormlight is going to be part of that, but so is Mistborn, world hopping, and all kinds of things going on with this. So we are an official virtual tabletop for the Cosmere role-playing game, and we have a beta rules preview that is available now. You can get to this on the Forge. Again, very easy. Click a button. It's going to download for you the next time you check for updates. You can go in and try out the rules. You can explore all of the beta rules preview content. You can also run the Bridge 9 playtest adventure in Fantasy Grounds. It's really important for us to emphasize that we were thrilled to be able to get in on this Kickstarter and participate in this official capacity. But this is very much a starting point on Fantasy Grounds. So we are just starting out here. When the full game comes, and all along the way through the playtest, we are going to be making updates. I saw this morning that we already made some updates to add a couple of the Radiant Paths into the beta rules preview, and some additional options in the combat tracker. So that stuff is going to continue to happen over the course of the playtest. And by the time the full game launches for this, Fantasy Grounds is going to be the best place to play this. It's going to have all the trademark automation and seamless rules integration in place. So definitely, check out the Kickstarter for this. And when it comes to selecting which VTT you want in backer kit, when that time comes, I believe in September, be sure to select Fantasy Grounds, because we are going to blow this out of the water, and we're really, really excited about the Cosmere RPG. Another notable thing that I wanted to bring up was Starfinder 2nd Edition. The playtest is underway, and this is also available on Fantasy Grounds. This is such a unique opportunity with Starfinder 2nd Edition. First of all, huge Pathfinder 2nd Edition fan. Love that Starfinder in this 2nd Edition is now going to be it's going to be compatible and integrated to a degree with what's going on with Pathfinder. And so, again, we're going to add more of that over time as far as the way that this all works. But I love the direction that Paizo is taking here. And as we start the playtest here, this is a great opportunity for you to share feedback with Paizo to potentially shape the future of the game. And you can run the playtest adventures and everything else on Fantasy Grounds. So be sure to check this one out as well. All right, let's talk about some upcoming things, and then after we get through all these, we can field some questions. So upcoming, so a few things that we're working on that are going to come in a future release. Image text annotations. So this is a big one. We've seen requests for this, but being able to put text anywhere on your maps, that is something that is indeed coming to Fantasy Grounds, and we're really excited to get that one out when the time comes. We have some camera view additions, and a picture is worth 1,000 words here. And so I'm actually going to queue up a little video while I'm talking here. But ultimately, camera view additions that that you're going to be able to see happening in the camera view. Now, if you haven't used camera view before, this is something that you can see with tokens now at this point in time. The tutorial that we updated a little earlier is going to have kind of the view of how that looks, but you can go into kind of an isometric looking thing. You can even go into a first person view of this. It's not full blown 3D. One of the things that we have seen as people have been considering what 3D means for virtual tabletops, so much of the time the preference is still towards 2D maps, 2D tokens, top-down approach. And I would theorize that a lot of that preference comes down to the availability of assets. So when it comes to 3D, it is hard to find everything that you might need for the session that you're about to run. I know that we've probably run into those situations where we're looking for just the right map for an encounter that we're trying to run. And honestly, sometimes that's a difficult thing, even when it comes to 2D assets. And so I love the world that we live in now. It is a lot easier than it was 20 years ago to find that right map. But finding that right 3D map or 3D asset is going to continue to be a challenge for some time. So what we're doing here with Fantasy Grounds is we're splitting that difference to a degree. And I think it's a fascinating approach. Games like Might and Magic might be familiar to some of you out there, but the idea is you can kind of flip that, and you can start to see some of these things in an isometric way. So this is going to be really, really great for things like trees, for instance. You're going to be able to see trees that are working in a really, really good way here. And so I wanted to check, Bryce, do we have the video that's playing? Do we have the video playing? I don't see it. Oh, it's playing now. I see it. I definitely see it now. So with this video, this is a very quick peek at what's going to happen with 2.5 updates here to the camera view. And so you can see that with that, all of these various props are going to be things that you can place on the map, and they can have a top-down version as well as a camera view version of the same asset. And so this allows you to be able to seamlessly change from top-down to this side-oriented view. This is going to be a really, really cool feature, and that's going to be coming pretty soon here in the future. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is the August art pack is impending. So that's naturally going to get out before the end of this month. And we're going to introduce something in the August art pack that I believe is going to be something that is going to be a great tool for people out there, especially if you do things like create your own creatures. And we call this the informal name that this is kind of taken on internally has been the Monster Doll capability that we have here. But I want to play a video here now from a staff artist that we have. Many of you might know some of his older streams. Josh Watmo is going to walk through what is going on with this art pack in August and how you can use the various assets that we're going to be including in this art pack to do some really cool things.
And I'm demonstrating some of the monster creation system that's going to be coming in Fantasy Grounds. It's a very simple system. Basically, it's set up much like a paper doll, where we have different elements here, appendages, torsos, heads, and so on. This is only a small portion of some of the images that will be coming out. And I just wanted to do a brief demonstration on how to use this. It's very simple, and I'll go through it quite quickly here. And then we can use our final image to make a token as well, and I'm going to go through some of that. So here we can start off with a torso. I usually recommend starting there. We can grab any one of these that we wish. I think I'm going to do something like, let's grab this one. And you can see here, this is a little bit of an undead kind of creature here. And then we can go back and grab any sort of head that we wish. Now these are all colorized. However, they are in all of the same values, so that we can take any of these images and adjust their colors if necessary, and we should be able to work on that just fine. So if we grab something like this, we can just drag and drop this right here. We can change the size, its orientation. We can turn it a little bit or do whatever we wish with it. And then we can grab some of the arms. Maybe we'll grab something like this. We can just drag and drop these right here. This one has arms for both sides here. We can adjust the sides again and kind of make that seem to fit a little bit better. And then also we can grab some of these legs. I like to drop the legs in depending on the torso. They should either be in front or behind. So if we grab something along these lines, as you can see here, that's going to fit a little bit wonky on that side. So we're just going to reverse it and drop it right in here. So I'm going to drop it right in underneath the torso. And you can see, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to elongate it a little bit, and it's going to fit in there pretty nicely. Again, this has got a second leg here, and again, I'm going to reverse it and drop it down in underneath the torso and put it over here like this. And again, I'm going to elongate it, and then again, if we hold down Control, we can kind of place that with a little bit more ease. And here we've created a monster very, very quickly, as you can see here. Now what I can do is I can grab all of these, and we can adjust these colors all at the same time. So if we wanted to add in any sort of changes here, we can certainly do that. Let's make it a little bit more green. Now to further enhance this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an effects layer here. And I'm going to jump over to the adjust colors. Now with this, what I can actually do is further adjust some of these colors, but in wherever I wish it. So perhaps I want to increase the red, or let's actually make it a little bit more on the yellow side in certain areas. And then I'm going to create a mask here. And what this is going to allow me to do is to draw out. What I'm doing is holding Alt so that I can draw out little sections here. And then I can blur this out and remove certain areas to change these colors here however we wish. We might want to make that a little bit darker so it kind of fits in there a little bit better. And again, we might want to put some down here. Just kind of unify some of this stuff really easily here. And again, we can either blur this more or less, whatever we'd like. We could do this several times if we wished. We could create an additional effects layer. Let's create one more. And then we're going to come in here. I think what we're going to do is going to give him some glowing eyes. So again, I'm going to create one of these areas here. I'm going to create a mask straight away. And I'm just going to brighten up these eyes a little bit. And again, we're going to make those glow. Let's make them red. So here we have created our creature here. He's got some glowing eyes and whatnot. I think this one's a little bit too much on the yellow side. So let's go back and readjust that. We can do this like super easily. Maybe we want to bring in a little bit more purple to it. And that's looking pretty cool. What I can actually do is I have a bunch of backgrounds that are going to be going with this as well. So you could grab a background and throw it in behind there if you want to do more of an illustration. But I think we're going to keep it just like this for right now. And what we'll do is now we're just going to export it. We just have to push this little button right down here. And this is going to bring us a pop-up here. You're not going to see it on my recording, but I'm going to save this as a WebP file. And this is going to automatically save it into my images here. So I'm just going to call it Monster. Let's call it Monster 3 because I've done this a couple of times. And you can see that this has been exported. And all I have to do is go into my, back to my home here. And I believe that it goes right into my campaign folder here. And I just have to refresh this and we should get a pop-up. Yep, here it is. And it's all been exported just like this. So I grab this and I drop it out here. You can see that we have a actual recreation of everything that we just kind of put together there. It's super quick. Now we could have put multiple arms on it, so on. There's going to be wings, tails, horns, patches of fur, scales, and so on. So you can really customize these any way you wish here. And what I'm going to actually do is do something similar here. So I'm just going to go back up into my images here. And we have a whole bunch of different token frames here. What I can actually do is grab something, and these are going to be all included in it as well. So let's grab something like this. And here is the token frame. The easy way to do this is I'm going to go back into my painting tab here. I'm going to turn off the stroke, but I'm going to turn it into a fill, and I'm going to go to my ellipse. Back in the campaign folder here, I'm going to grab this guy. We're going to drop him right into the fill area. And just below my frame here, I'm just going to start painting. And what this is going to do, I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift so I can kind of drag out. I'm not going to really be able to see this because I'm going to have to go in here and move it to something like that. And that's going to look good for my frame. Now, I don't have to worry about the size too much here, because what I can do is I can switch back over into my Layers tab, holding down Shift to make sure that it stays even as we adjust the size of it. And we can kind of move it here. I'm going to drop this down in underneath my wooden frame so that I can get this in here pretty perfectly. And if I hold down Control, it will not snap to the grid, so I can kind of move this around to whatever we wish. Again, I can go back in underneath, and if I want to put in another background, so on and so forth, I can do that, and I can export this exactly the same way. Super easy. You can see it's done in just a few minutes, and that's all that is.
All right. I think I'm back. Am I back? Yes, I am back. I see myself. First of all, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with Josh Watmo these last couple of months as a fellow artist, kindred spirit, and it has been we've had a blast working together, and he is really, really great at what he does. And so love seeing what Josh is able to put together. It's staggering the amount of assets that are available as part of our art pack subscription. It is so much value for such a small cost. And so I encourage you to check that out. And he is constantly making incredible things. If, this monster doll approach isn't completely your thing, this art pack is going to have some map assets and everything else in it as well. But I've already seen in chat a couple of, hey, is this coming for player characters? Those are all things that we'll keep an eye on. And if we see there's demand in the community for those things, would absolutely start going down that path. But I think that it is a very unique thing to have available to you. I can't tell you the number of times over the years I have wanted to create a monster on the fly, because I know that I know how it is when you're playing with players, especially that really, really know their stuff. And even if they're not actively looking at a monster manual, they still know what's going on with that monster. Being able to surprise them is always this wonderful, wonderful thing, as long as you don't overuse it. But being able to surprise them is great. And this allows you to have some of the assets that you could put together to help you do that. So look for that here within the next couple of weeks for the August art pack. We're going to introduce that. I also have talked Josh into putting together some tutorial content. So some of the things that you're seeing him do there, I want to emphasize, this is not Photoshop. This is inside Fantasy Grounds. There's a great deal of power and flexibility in the asset editor inside Fantasy Grounds. And so he is going to put together some, concise, brief tutorial content that if you're wanting to take some of those steps and start doing some of that yourself, it's going to be available for you to learn how to do that and become a pro like he is there. So really looking forward to that as well. All right, let's close this thing out. D&D 2024 core rulebooks. The team has been hard at work on these, and I can't wait for you to see it. You see just a little early tease of some of the visual updates there on the screen that we're going to be doing for the core rulebooks. But it's going to have the new look and feel of Fantasy Grounds, but it's also going to have these new rules integrated. So pre-order that now. It's going to be available here next month. Can't wait for you to try that out in Fantasy Grounds. We're going to continue working on some visual updates. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to continue this, kind of across the board. We're going to start working on some additional rule sets in addition to D&D and our core stuff. We're going to get to Pathfinder and some of the other rule sets that we're seeing a lot of demand for as well here in the coming weeks and months. And there are going to be some more creature dice dice packs. So there is no shortage of ideas that we're going to be able to put together for dice. One of the things that we have also started talking about, because I haven't shut up about it, is things like animated WebP dice faces that allow what if the eyeballs could blink at you, and those kind of things. So we've got some fun stuff in store for dice coming up as well. I'm sure you're going to see a kind of like we have a dragons deep dive set. There's going to be an undead deep dive set that has different sets for vampires versus mummies and so on. So all of that is coming in that crystal ball as well. And we're going to keep going onward and upward here at Smiteworks with Fantasy Grounds. Really looking forward to it. All right, I think it is time for the giveaway. So thank you if you have entered. We're going to give you one more minute here maybe to enter. Type !ultimate and you could win an ultimate license for Fantasy Grounds. Good luck. Good luck to everyone out there, but we're going to give that away any second now, and I am going to transition into some Q&A to close out the show. So I see that we have some questions. I believe I'm coming over here to look at this. Yes, so we have questions here that let me get this over here where I can see this easier. There we go. So I'm going to get into some of these questions that are coming through. You can spend 100 channel points. Very easy to get 100 channel points. So just keep clicking that green button while you're watching down there to ask a question. And so I am getting one of my favorite questions first here from Anchor89. I recognize that username. Thank you so much for joining me today. What is your favorite dinosaur? This is always a very key question. It says a lot about somebody. And my favorite dinosaur is the Allosaurus. I love the etymology of the name, which means, strange lizard. I love its, form factor, the way that it is, your predator that also has arms that are more functional. So all of these things, absolutely love the Allosaurus. And the Allosaurus is kind of my go-to favorite. Sometimes, we all have seasons in life. Sometimes it twists and changes a little bit, but the Allosaurus is always an all-time favorite. All right, so I can check that off. All right, so here we go. And this one is from the Oozy. And that's spelled like, ooze, like a gelatinous cube. Adam, longtime fan, is someone who has other VTTs but is interested in the Fantasy Grounds support for the Cosmere. What are the biggest reasons to add Fantasy Grounds to my toolkit? The biggest thing about Fantasy Grounds, this is one of the reasons even before I went on this wild Rainbow Bridge journey of DDB and all the places I've been in the last several years, there was a reason that I chose Fantasy Grounds as my go-to VTT before all that, and that is because Fantasy Grounds is the most powerful and versatile VTT there is out there, and it has the largest amount of official support. Like, we have the most extensive library of official content of any VTT out there. That power is going to be on display every single time that you're opening up the Cosmere there. And again, especially with things that we officially support, that amount of built-in convenience is the key word. That is letting you spend less time doing the parts of this whole play experience that are not as fun for most people. Now, some of you are gluttons for punishment and love, prepping and doing all these things. And the great thing is Fantasy Grounds lets you do that too. But the other thing that I love about Fantasy Grounds that's going to be really seeing for the Cosmere RPG and really anything that you're trying is that it is incredibly simple for you to make the Cosmere your own within Fantasy Grounds. So powerful editing tools and ways for you to make big changes that don't just go away when you're done playing or anything else like that. And so that persistence of the campaign that you're building with the people that you're playing with, Fantasy Grounds is going to be the best place to do that. And again, one of the other things that I'll call out is the criticism that we have seen in recent years for Fantasy Grounds has been, hey, it's really great, it's really powerful, powerful. It's really versatile, but it looks like it's stuck in the 90s. And I'm telling you right now, that is not going to be the case. We're already seeing the start of that deluge that's about to wipe that conception out with this build here today. It's going to continue to have a strong visual identity that is going to wipe that off of everyone's mind. So it's going to look the best and it's going to be the most powerful. So definitely check it out for the Cosmere and anything else that you're playing. All right, let's see what's next. This is from Swissman65. Hello, would localization, different language support be something doable for FGU's UI? This is something that can be done with extensions to some degree, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that some work has happened with that with some people on the Forge. But localization is always a challenge. I was actually part of. I was working for Amazon at the time that Amazon was starting down the process of doing some of their localization efforts. And for, at the time, one of the biggest companies in the world, localization was still an incredibly difficult thing to pull off. And I think the jury's still out as to whether they did it successfully or not, right? So localization is a challenge. It's something that we are always open to using resources with our small team on things that we see community demand for. And so if this is something that you want to see, I encourage you to add this to our requests board. And if we see that kind of interest, it's something we could dedicate some cycles to. But I want to transparently say it is a challenge to do it. The great thing is Fantasy Grounds is versatile and flexible enough that that kind of support can be introduced through things like extensions. Let's see. This is from Can O Cheese. I love that username. Cheese is my favorite thing. Any plans to make the program web accessible? My players prefer to use tablets. Definitely. We are talking about some ways to make at least certain parts of the Fantasy Grounds experience accessible outside of the application. But at this point in time, we don't have any additional details that we can share about that. But we will certainly share more, if and when we get there. From Latour Arcana or Latore Arcana, any plans for features like streaming view? That's a really good question. And again, I encourage you to put that on the feature request board and let's see how much interest there is in that. Obviously, I appreciate and enjoy streaming and have streamed in various capacities for many years here. But the thing that I have historically seen is that the subset of people who want this for something like Fantasy Grounds is notoriously fairly small. So it's not that we would never do a feature that would touch a small subset of the user base, but it is something that we would have to have really compelling reasons to do it for. So again, if there's that level of interest, our voting feature request board is a good place for us to potentially see that. Also from Latour Arcana. Oh, wait. That was maybe a duplicate. Yeah, okay, there we go. This one is from Regelstrom. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. Is there any plans for defining area of effect, also known as auras, on a map? An area that can be defined as a shape and an effect or similar concept can be attached to the defined area. If so, a rough timeline. So one thing that you'll figure out is I typically am not going to give timelines. Certainly won't give dates because this is software development and things go wrong. And I've found out over the years that, giving dates leads to disappointment for all involved. The thing that I prefer to talk about is priorities that we're currently working on and, velocity of how fast and how well we're clicking along on those things, right? So on this one specifically, no details that I can share, at this point in time. Again, I know that this one is on the feature request board. Something we look at all of the things that are coming through there. And if we have any news on this one in the future, we'll share. All right, let's see. This one from Ola EDU TV. There are plans for an API that can be integrated with OBS Studio or Twitch to display FG data such as dice results character for streamers' use. This is similar to the question before, at least in a generic way. It's similar. We don't have any current plans for that, but it is certainly something that there is the potential for us to review in the future. I encourage you to post on or vote on that feature request board, because that is an input. It's not the only input, but it is an input that we can pay attention to help gauge that demand. This one's from Shiny Summer Child, like that username could. What are some new games you would wish to see in Fantasy Grounds, especially the ones underrepresented in VTTs like Cult or City of Mist? It sounds like I'm hearing a couple that you would like to see. Honestly, at this point in time, Fantasy Grounds again has such a vast library of official content that we have available in our catalog. I mean, we have more DLC products on Steam than any other application. Lots and lots of content for Fantasy Grounds. The thing that I would say is that, personally for me, we're adding more new ones all the time. But personally for me, I'm excited to see some additional Free League titles make their way to Fantasy Grounds, because I am a big fan of Free League and what they have going on there. This one's from Fuzzy Dice Games. Will we be seeing a player character paper doll soon? Yeah, I think that is very, very possible. Nothing concrete yet, but very possible. I'm glad you liked the little preview of the monster doll version of that. This one is from Fantasy Grounds Academy. Hello there. One of the things I have kept an eye on over the years, what can be done with the Unity engine to help ensure slower spec machines to digest technology creep? Yeah, I don't have a great answer for this one. John would possibly be able to answer it a little bit better there, but Unity, there is a reason that Unity is one of the most leveraged and used engines in the world. It really does work great in a very large number of scenarios, but we will of course keep our eye out for things that can be done to make things more performant, especially on some of those legacy machines. Another question from the Uzi. How are you doing, Adam? I'm doing wonderful. I absolutely love life, and I'm having the time of my life. Thank you for asking. Knight 5150. Any plans to add attack animations like sword swinging over a token when they're about to attack with a sword, in addition to animations for spells like Fireball? I love that idea, but we don't have anything currently that we can talk about with that. Again, I think I've seen that on the feature board. If it's not there, be sure that you get it there, and let's see how much interest we can drum up for it. Ola EDU TV. Any plans to support interface translation or easier ways to allow the user to translate themselves? Great question. Don't have an answer for this one that is anything concrete, but I encourage you to hit the forums and talk about this and see if some others that are working with it have some tips for you, or again, feature request board. If these are things that you would like to see, let's see how many others would like to see them as well. Can of Cheese again. How much sweet tea did you drink in celebration of the new position? So much sweet tea. I've got my sweet tea right here. You reminded me to get a swig where I can finish speed running these questions. Swedish Acne Squid. Any plans on additional map effects for weather effects like steam effects for periodic obscurement, water geysers, mimicking quicksand, or even DM ability to trigger stop animations naturally? I love that idea. Nothing I can talk about at this point in time, but definitely love that kind of concept, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. This one's from. Let's see. How many more of these do I have? Wow. All right. I'm gonna do a few more of these, because we are now at the 1 hour mark, and this was supposed to be 30 minutes. But hey, I am very, very glad for all the engagement and for everyone asking questions. So I'm gonna try to get through as many more as I can here for a couple more minutes. This one is EDU TV plans for a better layout for the character sheets, which resemble the printed version, and/or a way to export it as a PDF, for example. Like all of that, nothing to share at this point in time, but we'll be looking at various ways to organize and present that data, in the coming months. And if we have updates, we'll share them. Swedish Acne Squid, and because it is mandatory, pizza button win. Oh man, I thought I was going to make it through without that one coming up. But we just can't have nice things. Bane TBC for the new theme, Core Dark, is the text color in the story and book entry is going to get updated. Currently, it's very hard to read as unreadable to read the text from the background. Outside of that, love the new look. Yeah, that sounds like something didn't come through right in the build. And if that gets reported in our forums where we know specifically what you're talking about, it will be fixed very quickly. Latour Arcana plans for import 3D dungeons for apps like Dungeon Alchemist. Nothing to share on that front yet. Again, if that's something you'd like to see, feature request board will be great for that. Ola EDU TV, when will we be able to throw the data outside the chat area and have it counted? Another one of these. Don't have an answer for that one here today. All right, pizza with or without pineapple. Pineapple is an abomination for pizzas. I don't understand that one. So let's see. To celebrate this wonderful update, I'm going to buy a new set of dice skins today. All right, thank you for the work and of the Fantasy Grounds team. That is wonderful. And then okay, we're calling it there. I'm out of time. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Very excited about everything that we have going here at Smiteworks with Fantasy Grounds. The future is really, really bright. I don't have enough shades for how bright this future is, and we look forward to you going on that journey with us. If you want to connect while we're not in a stream like this, Discord is a great place to do that. I do hang around in there, so if you want to ask additional questions, definitely feel free to do so there. Be sure to keep an eye on our social media channels and all the various places that we share news, because there is going to continue to be updates rolling along as we move forward here at Smiteworks with Fantasy Grounds. Thanks again so much. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week, and we will see you next time. Later, Gators. Okay, I'm going to announce the winner real quick. Fuzzy Dice Games. Congratulations, Fuzzy Dice Games. Congratulations. You won the ultimate license. Congratulations on that. I wish everyone could have won, but Fuzzy Dice Games did. So thank you so much. Later, Gators.